The Ruger Mini-14 is a true American classic. It's lightweight, it's handy, and it has that timeless ranch rifle aesthetic that sets it apart from the endless sea of black AR-15s. For the shooter who wants a traditional-looking rifle for plinking on the back 40, or for keeping predators off the property, the Mini-14 has always been a go-to choice. But here's the deal. This is a rifle with a lot of quirks, and some of them can cause you serious problems if you don't know what you're getting into. So today we are doing a deep dive, a warts-and-all breakdown of everything you need to know about owning and running a Ruger Mini-14. Let's get into it. First things first, let's be crystal clear. The Mini-14 is not an AR platform, not even close. While it fires the same cartridge, its internal mechanics are a completely different animal. The Mini-14 runs on a self-cleaning short-stroke gas piston system with a rotating bolt, a design that was borrowed directly from the legendary M1 Garand and the M14. This is a world away from the direct impingement system of a standard AR-15. And that's not just a technical footnote. While the AR platform has been battle-tested for decades and is known for its ruggedness and reliability, the Mini is a different beast. It is a solid, dependable rifle for civilian use, but it was not built to handle the same level of hardcore abuse as a true military-grade carbine. That's not a deal-breaker for most folks. Not everyone needs a rifle that's ready for the end of the world. The Mini brings its own unique strengths to the table, and we'll get to those. But before we go any further, let me give you the single most important rule for owning a Mini-14. Only use factory Ruger magazines. I don't care what the packaging on that cheap third-party magazine says. Don't do it. I have tested just about every aftermarket magazine ever made for the Mini-14 and the Mini-30, and almost all of them are a recipe for frustration. They cause failures to feed, jams, and an endless stream of malfunctions. Unlike the AR-15 world, where companies like Magpul make third-party magazines that are often better than the originals, that is not the case with the Mini. The magazine lockup on this rifle is notoriously finicky, and while the factory Ruger magazines aren't cheap, they are the only ones you can trust to run reliably. It is a non-negotiable part of owning this rifle. Now let's talk about the Mini-14's original sin, its legendary lack of accuracy. And I am not exaggerating when I say that the accuracy of the older, pencil-barrel Mini-14 rifles was atrocious. It was so bad, it could make a Khyber Pass-built AK look like a precision target rifle. Most of the legacy Minis I've shot would struggle to hold a 3-minute of angle group. And I have seen some that couldn't keep all their shots on a paper plate at 100 yards. That's not shooter error. The problem was the thin barrel profile. As the barrel heated up, the point of impact would begin to walk up the target, often by several inches. The truth is, these rifles were never designed to be tack drivers. Ruger marketed them as ranch rifles, a tool for dealing with a coyote at 75 yards, and for that job, they were good enough. But the good news is, Ruger eventually fixed this problem. Starting in the mid-2000s, Ruger completely retooled their Mini-14 production line. They tightened up the tolerances, overhauled their manufacturing process, and, most importantly, they redesigned the barrel. The new rifles feature a much thicker, more rigid barrel profile that is far less susceptible to heat-related accuracy issues. Thanks to these improvements, a modern Mini-14, when fed quality ammunition, is now capable of consistently shooting 2 to 3 minute of angle groups. Now, for a hardcore precision shooter, that might not sound impressive, but for home defense, predator control, or hunting medium-sized game, that level of accuracy is more than sufficient. You can easily identify these updated rifles by their serial number. Any Mini-14 with a prefix of 580 or higher is one of these new, improved versions. If you're in the market for a Mini, skip the older models and get one of these. Now for the elephant in the room, the trigger. The Mini-14 trigger has a reputation for being one of the worst on a modern semi-automatic rifle. In my opinion, that's an exaggeration. Is it a good trigger? No. But is it completely unusable? Not at all. The average factory trigger breaks at around 5 pounds. It has a bit of mushy creep, but the break itself is reasonably clean. It is very comparable to a standard, mil-spec trigger on a factory AR-15. The bigger issue is that it is not easy to upgrade. Unlike an AR, where swapping out a trigger is a simple 10-minute job, the Mini's fire control group is a much more complicated affair. While there are aftermarket trigger kits available, they almost always require some degree of hand-fitting or polishing by a qualified gunsmith to ensure they are both safe and functional. If you're used to the plug-and-play modularity of the AR, this aspect of the Mini will be a source of frustration. Now, we need to talk about the rifle's most polarizing and, in my opinion, most dangerous design feature: the safety. The Mini-14 uses a paddle-style safety located inside the front of the trigger guard, a design borrowed directly from the M1 Garand. Push it forward to fire, pull it back for safe. Some people will argue that this is an ergonomic design. I respectfully and strongly disagree. Putting a primary control inside the trigger guard is a fundamentally bad idea. It violates one of the cardinal rules of modern firearm safety. There are many situations where you may need to disengage the safety without the immediate intent to fire. With this design, that action requires you to put your finger inside the trigger guard and push forward in close proximity to the trigger itself. If you have large hands or you are wearing gloves, it is frighteningly easy to unintentionally make contact with the trigger during this motion. This is not a quirk you can fix. It is baked into the DNA of the rifle. If you are going to run a Mini-14, you must train yourself, religiously, to never, ever disengage that safety until you are on target and have made the decision to fire. Now, with all those warnings out of the way, let's talk about one of the Mini-14's most underrated strengths: its appearance. Even though this is a semi-automatic rifle firing an intermediate cartridge, it does not look like a scary military-style weapon. With its traditional wood or synthetic stock, it looks like Grandpa's old hunting rifle. Now, I can already hear people in the comments saying that optics shouldn't matter, and in a perfect world, they wouldn't. But we don't live in a perfect world. If you live in a state with restrictive gun laws, or if you simply want to maintain a lower profile, the Mini-14 blends in a way that an AR-15 simply cannot. In certain jurisdictions where so-called assault weapons are banned by name or by features, the traditional Mini-14 is often completely legal. That is a distinct tactical and legal advantage. And finally, let's touch on the tactical variant. This model features a metal, side-folding stock, a flash hider, and a bayonet lug. When the stock is folded, the rifle becomes incredibly compact, perfect for storage in a vehicle or a backpack. It is Ruger's attempt to bridge the gap between the Mini's classic design and the demands of the modern tactical world. So, there you have it. Everything you need to know about Ruger's iconic and deeply flawed Mini-14. Now I want to hear from you. Is the Mini-14 a dated relic in a world of high-speed ARs? Or does it still hold its own as a viable and capable carbine? Let's keep the conversation going down in the comments. And if you found this breakdown valuable, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another upload. Thanks for watching, and as always, shoot straight and stay safe.